we're judging our self-worth based on what other people pay us. And sure, everybody wants to make more money. I got it, you know?
What should we judge our self-worth on?
The life that we live. I think we should judge our self-worth on the value we have in the lives of others. Do other people think of you as a good friend, a good sibling, a good son or daughter, you know, a good father, a good mother, good colleague, a good teammate, you know? I think that I would rather judge myself on that. And again, we're dopamine, tangible, driven animals, and it's much easier to judge myself based on number in a bank account because I can see it and I can count it. And if there's a lot in there, it must be valuable. And if there's little in there, that must be unvaluable, which is nonsense because I can tell you I know a lot of rich people who have no value in the world. And rich people aren't necessarily the hardest working. I know a lot of very rich people who are lazy. And I don't criticize them for that. Just don't think that because someone's rich that they're incredibly hardworking. And please stop calling the homeless lazy. You go be homeless for a day. See how lazy you have to be, you know, to survive with no money, no resources. Good luck. The laziness that's not it. Like, you actually have to work hard at surviving when you have nothing. And I think we have all of these metrics screwed up, and they're all based on what I can count and what I can see, rather than the value I have in the lives of others. And by the way, you don't even get to judge that, because the only way you know you have value in the lives of others is if others say you have value in their lives.
Right.
So that's a thing, right?
I'm curious about your sister's story. That's really heartbreaking, but also fascinating that she wanted to say, hey, maybe I can help other people through my own tragedy, through my heartbreak, through my loss.
The kind of person she is.
What was the lesson that you learned from you not going through it yourself, but witnessing someone that you loved go through a loss like that? What was the lesson for you?
You know, I talk about balance all the time. There's a silver lining in every cloud. There's a cost for everything we gain in life, but at the same time, there's goodness that comes out of every loss. My sister and I were already pretty close. I mean, it made us even closer. My family and us were also already pretty close. We got even closer. I think tragedy brings families together in a way that nothing else can. Perspective. This, you know, the stupid stuff that we got stressed about just isn't that important. You know? There's something called post-traumatic growth. We love talking about post-traumatic stress, but there's also post-traumatic growth. There's a lot of growth that comes out of loss and tragedy as well. I think these things, I mean, you said it right at the top, right? It's the fragility of why do we need these reminders? So I think that was a big one.
Yeah.
And you know, my sister's happily married. She's got 2 kids, you know, and built a new life. And that's super inspiring.
That's great.
That, you know, people go through breakups or divorces and they think that's it, their life is over. They'll never find love again. I'm like, well, here to tell you.
She created it, yeah.
You can find love again, you know? And she has a picture of her fiance that she lost in her office on her desk. And it's like, I see it there, and it's a nice reminder for all of us, you know? His loss is a nice reminder to all of us that live life, love life. Easier said than done. I mean, you know, you and I write books about this stuff, and it's hard. It is hard work. And I get a kick out of that, by the way. You know, it's very easy to be a cat. Cats don't think about being cats. They're just cats, right? But you have to actually work really hard to be a human being.
Oh.
Like, being a good human being actually requires so much work.
Yes.
You know, and there's that's funny to me. You know, like, to be the best version of a human being is actually very difficult and requires studying and effort and risk and discomfort and all those things that, you know, I think this young generation tries to avoid.
Yeah.
Not the work part, the discomfort part.
Yeah. You mentioned about, you know, we shouldn't be, I can't remember exactly what you said, but we shouldn't be focusing on a good day being on how productive we are.
Yeah.
we should have a different metric of what a good day is. How do we measure what a good day is then if it's not a productive day?
So this is the problem with things that are hard to measure. It doesn't mean they don't exist. It just means they're hard to measure. You know, you're in love with your girlfriend. You know, show me the metric. Show me the number that proves to me, you know, that she is the love of your life. Well, you can't. You can show me a bunch of behaviors, and I can ask her if she feels secure, if she feels safe, if she feels seen and heard, if she feels she can be her best self because of the space you provide her. But I got no number. So just because you can't measure something, or just because something's difficult to measure, doesn't mean it doesn't exist, right? So that's an important lesson. I learned that in my career too. So I had this meeting at the Pentagon. I was sitting in the foyer waiting for the general to come in when he was ready to see me. And we've all had this experience where you're waiting in a foyer, waiting in a waiting area, and somebody will come and get you. And they take you to the conference room or the office. And because being quiet is uncomfortable, we fill the dead air.
Yeah. How's your day?
Exactly.
What's going on?
Exactly. How was your flight?
It's so hot out here.
It's so hot out. Exactly. Exactly right. It's hallway talk. It's all it is designed to fill dead air. That's it. And the minute you walk in the office, it just stops. Nobody actually cared.
Right.
Well, that's what happened to me. The general came to get me. We start walking to his office, and the hallway talk begins. And he says, you know, Simon, I had everybody in my office read your book. And I said, my publisher thanks you. And he said, tell them not to bother. I had them read my copy. Total book sales, 1. Total impact, huge. Compared to, I go to an event and they give away 500 free copies of the book, total book sales 500, but they use them as doorstops and coasters, total impact 0.
Maybe 3 or 4 people read it, right?
Right. So it was that experience that I realized that I can't measure impact simply based on book sales or dollars or income or anything like that. Now, over the long term, I think you can. You know, the book is sustainable. But in the short term, it's really a useless metric. So I had to get comfortable with the fact that I was doing things that I couldn't measure the impact, but I knew had an impact. And you've heard me talk about these things before. You know, I talk about exercise, where you go to the gym and you come home and you don't see anything. And you go to the gym the next day and you come home and you don't see anything. And so you're like, it's not working. And you're in pain. Right?
And you want to eat a cheeseburger, and pizza, and ice cream. Yeah.
And you keep doing it, and you still don't really see anything until you maybe look down and read a scale, and sometimes that's weight isn't even the thing. You're replacing fat with muscle. Your weight might go up, right? Until people start saying to you, you look really good.
You look young.
But you never saw it happen. It's like you never see yourself get older until you look at a picture of you from when you were younger, right? And so you believe, we know from the science and we know from experience that if I exercise, it's a process and it's good for me, even though I can't measure it in the short term. And if I eat well and I keep doing that, I know it'll keep me healthy for the long term. I'll eat more leafy greens and less sugar. I know I just have to stick to this process that 100% of the time it works. How long does it take to get into shape if you start exercising? Nobody knows.
Right.
Neither does any doctor. Sometimes a little less time for some people and sometimes a little more time for others. Like, we don't know. We just know 100% that it works. And so I had to get used to the idea professionally that I'm going to do things that I know work, but I won't be able to measure them. And I just have to be okay with the fact that it works, like exercise, like eating right. And so that's where, learning an infinite mindset and letting go of annual goals. So people are like, what's your annual goal? I don't have any, because I can't predict what I'm going to achieve based on arbitrary timelines. So I have guidelines, like I run a marathon. I like to know the speed I'm going at. Like, I do look at numbers. They matter to me. They help me measure speed and distance, but I don't get happy or sad if I hit or miss a number.
Why do you think so many people get sad or happy based on if they hit their goals? And sometimes you hit their goals and you're still not happy.
Because we're dopamine-driven, short-term visual animals. I mean, it's going to go in a circle, right? And because we can if you create a goal and you hit it, you get a shot of dopamine. That is what happens, right? Any kind of beginning, middle, and end, if you reach the end, you'll get the dopamine. Like, find food, found it. Oh, it feels good. I lost my keys, found them. Oh my God, it feels so good, right? This is why we often confuse on a first date. We do this, like falling in love on the first, in the first date. Not really true. That's not oxytocin and serotonin. That's actually dopamine, because you think you found the thing you're looking for. So you have a list of things in your head that you want in your relationship. This person seems to have a bunch of them, and you have, new relationship energy. All you see is the stuff that you want that's on your
perfect
on
stuff,
your list,
yeah,
the perfect stuff. And you're literally like, I think this is the
Found
one.
it. Yeah.
I think they're the one. I'm like, congratulations, you're flooded with dopamine on date 1.
Right.
Or date 2, and you are not in love. We've all made the mistake. You're not in love.
I've made it too many times.
Of course.
Yeah.
Go out a bunch more, you realize, what the hell was I thinking?
Right.
And they've said that about me. We can't help ourselves. And I think that if you recognize these things, and let's go right back to the question where you started, which is, you talked about the condition of the human relationship, right? And I think when the human relationship declines, when our feelings of love and friendship and closeness and deep, meaningful relationships decline, we become more obsessed with the external validations, the clicks, the likes, the followers, to the point where it's literally become a career. I'm an influencer, which means I have more clicks than you, more likes than you, more followers than you. And that makes me an alpha in our society. I went to an event recently, and there was this pretty girl I was sitting in my seat at this event, and she was posing for pictures as her friend took pictures of her. And somebody leans over to me, she goes, "She's a very famous influencer." And I said, "You mean she's a freelance employee of an algorithm?" Because that's what an influencer is. They're freelance employees for algorithms. They might make a lot of money. Some freelancers make a lot of money, and they work for the algorithm. The algorithm is their boss.
They have to feed the algorithm.
Or they have to feed the algorithm. If the algorithm changes, it could destroy their whole income, and you never get to rest. You never get to rest because the algorithm doesn't rest. You don't get to rest.
And it could influence their self-worth.
So the smart influencers, if they're making coin, right, bank that coin, invest that coin, because you are going to burn out, or the algorithm will change, or somebody else will do it better than you. More likely you're going to burn out.
Yes.
Nobody can maintain that pace of recording your life every moment, for content, because the algorithm never rests. Think of it like CNN. It's a 24-hour news cycle for your life.
Crazy.
Right? And we saw what happened to the quality of news when we went to a 24-hour news cycle, right? Now think of some of the quality of life when you go to a 24-hour content production schedule. Your vacations, you have to bring your camera with you.
You're always on.
Your relationships, you bring your camera with you. You're going to burn out. And if you've been saving your money and investing your money, you'll be just fine. But if you're spending that money, it's not going to be good.
How does someone manage their own life's motivation while making sure they're being somewhat productive to have a career that pays them an income and can cultivate growth within a career or their own business, while also creating the metric of a good day? How can we balance those three of staying motivated, not being lazy, having a balanced, healthy, beautiful day, while also being productive?
What's wrong with being lazy?
Nothing wrong with it.
What does lazy mean? What does it mean to be lazy?
I think my definition, if I'm thinking about it right now, is more of like not caring about anything. It would be my definition of lazy, like not caring.
Caring, okay.
But I maybe not. I
think it's clear that we use that.
Yes.
Because lazy to some people might be sitting on a couch watching TV all day. Right? Now, if I've been working with a crazy person,
that's relaxing. That
sounds good to me. Or maybe I'm watching documentaries and I'm generating ideas.
Right. Yeah, it's not lazy to me.
To somebody, that I haven't produced something at the end of the day that's tangible, because things being produced all the time here, right? Ideas. Let's be clear that what we mean by is not lazy. What we mean by is how do you live a life where you care? Like people who don't care. So I think older generations, and I count myself amongst them, our generation is pretty judgy because we believe you go to work, you get the promotion, you move your way up the ladder, and we kind of understand people who don't have ambition.
Right.
It's like, what do you mean you're not interested in like moving up the ladder and getting more responsibility and one day achieving a leadership position?
Or they feel entitled to just be a leader at 24
you
without
work
putting
for
the work.
Right.
Yeah.
Like we're pretty judgy, right? And I think we have to recognize that raw ambition is fine for some. And some people want to just come to work, get a paycheck, and have that paycheck pay for their lifestyle. And they're not interested in moving up the ladder. They're interested in fair compensation. It's not that they don't care. They do care. They still do good work. They're just not career-minded. They're lifestyle-minded.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can't judge them as unproductive and lazy just because they don't have any aspirations to move up through the ladder. But they can't get all if they haven't been giving like massive raises when they're just, like managing. And I know a lot of people who are very happy. They make a decent living. They spend their money and they go on vacations and they save enough and it's all balanced. And I think they live fantastic lives.
Great.
They care.
Yeah.
They care about the work and they care about the quality of their work. They care about their lives and the quality of their lives. And they want the two to coexist. Right? But remember, we said cost. There's a cost for everything. So if you want to be highly, highly ambitious and make all that money and get all that charm, that comes at a cost to your personal life. If all you want is go on vacations, well, that came as a cost sometimes to your income or your professional stability, right? So the goal is to find the balance that you're comfortable with. Some may tilt a little more towards ambition and some may tilt a little more towards lifestyle. And it's not for us to judge, it's for us to understand. And if I can understand that's how somebody on my team wants to live a life, then I'm okay with that. And as long as they do good work and they care, I think that's a very good, important, as long as they care, I'm not going to overload them with stuff that they can prove to me that they can do it, but I want them to do good work within those boundaries.
Yes.
And I'm cool with it. And when we talk about, I think this whole idea of setting boundaries, it gets a little bit misunderstood, right? Like everybody thinks you have to set boundaries, which means keep people away. I refuse to do that. That's beyond my boundary. I'm not doing that. No, that's not what boundaries mean. What boundaries means are, let me tell you what I imagine and what my limitations are. We have boundaries in relationships, right? You sit down with your partner, you co-create the relationship that you want to have. And if you're a good relationship, you discuss what the boundaries are that you both agree to obey. And it's not for us to judge the boundaries of other relationships based on the boundaries of our relationships and vice versa, right? We create the boundaries that make us comfortable and we agree to stay within those boundaries. We can do whatever we want inside those boundaries, but we cannot step outside those boundaries. Whatever relationship style you want to have, you got to have boundaries. And that is a discussion. And I think that is the right thing to do in a professional circumstance as well. It was always assumed that there's only one kind of boundary.
Right.
Which is the one I have.
Right.
And if you go to work till 10 o'clock at night and work on a Saturday, you do it.
Make it happen.
Right?
Yeah.
But that's not the reality of a young generation anymore. But we're not having the discussion. What we've confused is boundaries as a conversation versus boundaries as a unilateral wall that says, I'm not doing that, and you kind of asked me to do that.
Right.
It should be a conversation, which is somebody says, look, I'm not interested in moving up the ranks. I want to be treated fairly. I want to be paid fairly. I'm going to do good work, but I don't want to work late at night and I don't want to work on weekends because I want to live a lifestyle. And I'll say, okay, like in any relationship, let's have a negotiation, right? Which is, I'm cool with that. Every now and then, when there's a lot of stress and things have gone haywire or we have a huge deadline, I may need you to stay late a couple nights or the occasional Saturday, but I'll give you Monday off. I'll make it up to you. I'm not going to take away from you without giving you back. And I won't do it a lot. I won't abuse it. But every now and then, are you okay with that boundary?
The flexible boundary, yes.
Right? So I hear what the boundaries are you want. You understand the things that I need. And we come to an agreement, say, yes, those are the boundaries. We're all cool with that.
We're in alignment, yes.
We're in alignment. And that becomes more productive. But that's not what's happening. Usually the discussion of boundaries is me telling you, as opposed to, and by the way, try that in your relationship. Not going to go well. Me telling you what my boundaries are in my relationship as opposed to a discussion where I can understand where the boundaries are coming from, and maybe your past experiences, or maybe you've had bosses that took advantage of you, or maybe you were underpaid and somebody abused the fact that you were, salary, or whatever it is. It's just a conversation because we don't know what somebody's previous experience is that makes them create the boundary that they have now. And they're usually based on some sort of preventing something from happening again.
Right, that already happened in the past. Yeah.
Right? Thing that scares me about AI is the thing that I think scares everybody about generative AI, and the speed at which this algorithm can work, and the speed at which it can invent things.
But is that something to be scared about or more excited about?
Both. The answer is both. And I think anybody who comes on one side or the other of the equation is missing the